All right, thank you very much, Yoemi Ajayi, for that background. Kyrian, just so that some of our viewers will not be wondering, well, so why are we saying UTME examinations? UTME, E there is already for examinations. Exactly. So it's just a matter of speaking. So that's why we just said UTME exams. You know, the mnemonics, of course, will refer to Universal Tertiary Matriculation Examinations. So UTME exams is, as we said, a manner of speaking. Now we have with us in the studios 4 guests to discuss matters arising from this year's exams. First, we'd like to welcome Professor Ishaq Oloyede. He is the Registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB. Professor Oloyede, pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
Also here with us in the studios, we have Professor Abdullahi Zuru, who is Vice Chancellor of Usman Dan Fodio University in Sokoto and also JAMB's Chief External Examiner for Sokoto State. Professor Zuru, pleasure to have you with us on the program. Okay.
Now, Professor Elieza Uche Ikone, Vice Chancellor, Abia State University, and Chief External Examiner, Abia State, is here with us. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, thank you.
And here is Ike Onyeshare MFR, the founding chairman, Exam Ethics Marshals International. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you, Mario.
All right, let's begin with the registrar of JAMB. What is wrong with this year's UTME?
Thank you very much. I think so many things are right with UTME this year. The reason being that nothing is wrong. What we want to do is to ensure that we improve on what we are doing. And when you discover certain things, you either want to say, oh, let it go, or you want to say, let us address them. I must thank you for this invitation. You have your own purpose, but I also have my purpose as I was coming. I have heard so many things people are saying, and I felt that your invitation is an opportunity for me to quickly clear the air on certain things. With your indulgence, let me say that yes, there might be hiccups here and there, very few of them. But the truth of the matter is that there are premeditated disruption of the CBT centers. I can give example of somewhere in Kado here where there was said to be a fire, and I rushed there with my officials. Not even a one ceiling, cardboard, what do you call it? This not one was burnt, and it later turned out to be a route, something done so that some students can rush out, so that mercenaries can come in. And when we got that, in the process of screening, we found somebody who claimed to be a professor, whose daughter was writing the exam right inside the examination hall. So some of the things we call about, we say their disruption are not so. Then again, you have candidates that will say, hey, their numbers did not log in. They wanted to log in, they couldn't log in. We have discovered that they are ploy. We have people we have arrested now that will come into the examination hall and will do nothing. They will not log in. And when you ask this year, because we were investigating, we asked them, why are you not logging in? And we left 1 or 2. Throughout the exam, they didn't log in. We arrested them after the examination. They said, my mother told me that when I go into the examination, I should not do anything. That my mother had paid somebody who will do the login for me. And some of them, we force them to log in. And when they log in, you discover that in the same examination hall, there are people, mercenaries that had already been paid, who will log in with the number of that person. That person will register as a candidate, but he had no intention of writing any examination. So he will log in with the number of the candidate he has come to work for. But because the system will not allow 2 people to log in with the same number, the real candidate will be told, just sit down, so that you will do nothing. We have cases of some that they will say, okay, they are there. And after 30 minutes, after 3 minutes, the system will tell you, you have not done anything. You will be logged out. You will do nothing. because he want to be deliberately logged out. And when it's logged out, then we say, oh, there was disruption in the system. But our own system will tell us that system number so log in for that candidate. We just smile at the candidate. And there are also the collusion with some CBT centers, particularly the private CBT centers. They do all sorts of things with the candidates. And some people argue, there is no computer literacy in Nigeria, they are slow, and therefore some candidates are disadvantaged. We have factored that into what we are doing. We introduced Nikes, and we have shown the candidates how to, anybody who can use cell phone, which we call mobile phone in Nigeria, cell phone, anybody who can use it can write our examination, because you need only 9 keys. You don't need mouse, you don't need anything. Once you can use your telephone, you can write UTME, because it is simple. A, B, C, D. That's the answer. If the answer is A, you press A. It will move to the next one. B, it will go. C or D or E. 4 are for the answers. After that, you have the other 5. If you want to move next, press N. If you want to reverse, you go back to the last, you press R. If you finish your exam and you want to submit, press S. And when you press S, the system will ask you, do you really mean to submit? You press Y, which is yes. So this had been made with just Nikes, and we printed that in what we give to the candidates. And on the screen, before you start exam, you can't start exam without reading this thing on the screen. So this is also not an issue. Then people talk about fingerprint. Why are we looking at their biometrics? Do you see, most of the so-called biometric problems are feigned. For example, in the past, we didn't start biometric this year. It has always been there, even before I became the registrar. But the only difference this year is, if you are not biometrically verified, you cannot write exam. In the past, they give them waiver, bypass. When you just pretend that I have my finger cannot open, or say, okay, you write the exam. And through that, we allow so many sheets to come into our examination. No bypass this year. And many people are asking us, what is happening? The elite in Nigeria, they are doing a lot of damage. We have parents who will register for one candidate in 10 places. We will say, my name is Isi Akoloede, and there will be 10 Isi Akoloede across the country bearing Isi Akoloede. They will all write the exam. The one with the highest score is the one that will become the Isi Akoloede that they will now take to the university to go and register for medicine, for any course, because they have engaged these people to do the writing for them. Not only that, you also have these elite schools, because most of them had collected exorbitant price from the parents as school fees. The issue of passing examination, WASC and UTME, it become a matter of life and death. And they do all sorts of things. We are not WAEC, we are not NECO. So we are not school-based examination. We are not school-based, and we always tell people, JAMB is not an examination body. When you see an examination body, it must have E in its acronym, WAEC, NECO. But we are assessment body. We are writing examination. We have our colleague in UK, UCAS. UCAS does not write any examination before placing candidates. You assess. Our situation here demands for examination because there are more candidates than the spaces. And I must also say, sir, so those of them who claim they have medical problem with their fingers and so on, we try to accommodate them. This year, we brought them to Abuja. We paid for their to and fro transport. And for the examination, we also paid them. But you find out that those who want to commit these criminal activities, they don't want to do that because they have the other intention of cheating. So let me answer.
We'll give you more time
Okay.
to talk on it, but we want to go to some specifics.
Okay.
You know, we had the opportunity of discussing this, you know, on another platform about 2 days ago, and you raised there some very pertinent issues. But this time, let's be a little bit less specific. Let's go a little bit back to the registration process. Yes. You know, we had reports from different parts of the country, and we had stories like problem of power failure, difficulty in accessing JAMB's website for registration, overcrowding at registration centers. You know, candidates, some candidates are not familiar with computer-based. Of course, you have spoken on that, especially in Katsina State. You know, they have a number of candidates who could not sit for the exams because of their level of computer literacy. Now, in dormitory, for instance, from the information that we had, it's even been insinuated that there may be need to resit the exam in dormitory, for instance, because of some discrepancies here and there. Even in Katsina as well, they also complained of intimidation by invigilators in some centers. So could you address all of this before?
Let me tell you, there was no intimidation, because those people, this year, what many people did not realize, that those who are supervising our exams now, apart from vice chancellors, provosts, and rectors, you have director general. This year, you have the head of the, what do you call it? The head of those who are in charge of Servicom. The head of Servicom was all over in the East, working for us. What happened in Lagos, where somebody was arrested, where they were taking snapshots? They have forgotten that the head of that place, the supervisor, that they see as supervisor, was a director general of a federal government agency for 8 years. So you now post such person, they think that it's business as usual. They were trying to give money. The man just laughed. And there are cases where they give money, more than 1 million, about 2 million to staff, trying to lure them that, oh, we have collected money from the candidates, this is what to do. And when we confront some of our, 1 or 2 of our staff, who we know from the screening had collected some money, they confessed that they gave them this money and they brought the money back. And we had to call the two together to say, you gave this money. You gave 1.6 million to a staff. Where did you get the 1.6 million? If not that you are collecting money. Look, there was the case of College of Education, Azari. College of Education, Azari, I was shocked when we were doing analysis of fingers that one person could register 64. We could see one person's finger in at least 64 registration. And I thought something was wrong with our machine. I couldn't go to bed. I had to be calling and calling. It was 5 a.m. the following morning that somebody confessed that it's true, that I contributed 2 or 3 fingers to every registration. That was the planning. And when this person now goes to the examination hall, he would deliberately, the person, he knows how many fingers he contributed. He will not use the finger that he contributed. He will be using the one that he didn't contribute, and you say biometric failure. And when you say biometric failure, the intention is to rearrange him, because the machinery to write for him is engaged somewhere. He wants us to reschedule them for some other places. Again, you have variant of same name. A person can register, my name is Isiaq O. Oloyede. In another one, I register Isiaq Olanrewaju. In another one, I will register Oloyede, 3 or 4. So that when I take 3 or 4 examination, I can come with the highest, and then I will come up and say, I want to do change of name. There is mistake in the name. They have forgotten that since last year, no JAMB official types the name of the candidate again. They type themselves, because they type on their phone and send to us. We have automated it that what you send to us, nobody asks for your name when you go for registration because you have typed it yourself and you have sent it to us. Why are you now spending? We collected almost 200 million last year. For 2005, we were able to get about 200 million for change of name. After they have committed all these atrocities, they will now be claiming mistake and they will be paying 2005. And we say we don't want such money. Let us know exactly what is going on. When you have multiple faces, you have people, one single person that will register 3, 4, 5 times.
I'm wondering, Professor Oloyede,
yes,
because dealing with the front end of all of this, which is registration in the first instance, do you have a problem with identity management? No, you have a problem. Because what you are saying, if Ishaq Oloyede can register in multiple locations and then use all kinds of fingerprints, have you approached, say, NIMSI or other experts in ID management to be able to screen out? I mean, my name is Kingsley Osadolo, for instance, and my middle name, of course, I know what my middle name is, I know my date of birth, and there are other features that you can use to screen out other persons. So why would it be possible, why doesn't your system trigger an alarm or an alert to say, hey, this person is coming a second or a third time?
Yes, you are right. Unfortunately, we have not been looking at that. We look at registering candidates on time. If you go to NIMSI and so, you see that when you register in NIMSI, you are not going to be cleared on that same day. You are given temporary acknowledgement. You may come back 1 month, 2 months later when they will have verified, because it's not simple to verify it. The same Nigerians will now be making noise that they are making their children to come 3 or 4 or 5 times because we need to verify behind the scene. We are coming up with a situation now that when you register, we'll give you acknowledgement. When we have finished the, maybe we can ask you to come 1 week later. Then at that time we will have done this, because one will not have imagined this type of thing. It has always been so, and they have been going scot-free. But this time around, we just want to make sure that it does not be the same. When people have multiple faces, for instance, there are identical twins. When the machine shows that these people are identical, we only got at least more than 5,000 twins have been called. That, look, our machine says these 2 pictures are the same. What happened? And some of them are twins, some are siblings. We are eliminating them. But we have a large number where you have 1 person registering for 40, registering for 50. And what we do is that we now use fingerprint to verify. Even when you say you are identical twins, your thumbs, your fingers would not be the same. We believe that this year we are going to allow some criminals to go free for just giving benefit of that, so that we do not punish the innocent. But we are putting in place things that will make it impossible. You are talking about registration. Because we don't want candidates to go to travel a long distance. We have what we call examination town. I take Lagos, for instance. You have Yaba, Ebute Metta as an examination town. You have Shomolu and Bariga as another examination town. You have Agege Ifako as another examination town. You have Ikeja, Okpebi and Kwon as examination town, so that candidates can move just little travel. But you now find out that they are conniving with the CBT owners in those places, because they know wherever they are posted, it must be within where they have chosen. We have decided now that Yaba to Bariga, they are going to be 1 examination town. All of them travel within that place. We have decided now that Agege, Ifako, Ibefo, all those places will be examination town to capture large number of CBT centers, because they are now prearranging with 2 or 3 centers. Look, for instance, you have 2 centers in Ogbomoso, or at best 3. Now, because they know, they would have now have gone to the owners and operators of the CBT center, prearrange certain things. Now we are now saying Ogbomoso, Oyo, we are going to live it together.
I'm wondering, Professor Oloyede, why is the result for this year's UTME still being delayed?
It's not being delayed, it's being scrutinized.
What does that mean?
What that means is that, given our experience, given what we have seen on the field, we believe that we should not continue to deceive ourselves. What we should do is to say every candidate, every center, we will have all the clips, the footages of recording we are analyzing. As at 10 p.m. around 12 midnight yesterday, we have finished 31 states. That is, you take one finger against 1.8 million times 10 fingers, because you don't take the 10 as one, because we have seen now that people are making combination of fingers. So we will now go through them. What we are trying to do, we are identifying people who register more than once, and now we are saying we will even allow those who register more than once, register twice, for benefit of doubt to go. But those who register more than once and took 2 examinations, because the whole thing is too large. Do you know, some of them, when we discovered that they registered twice, we put them on the same date, on the same venue, for the same examination, and they are absent. The other one will be absent because they know. But we now discovered that because of the shock to the nation, we will allow the sinners on this occasion to go scot-free for one. If you register for more, you register twice, but you attempted the exam once, we will close our eyes. But we are going to tell the institutions that this is a suspect, keep watch on him. So he will, because the institution, whoever admits him, will have the dossier on him or her, so that it can be watched, because the situation is getting bad.
Okay, thank you. We'll come back to you definitely. Yes, gentlemen, we've not left you out. We still have Professor Abdullahi Zuru, Vice Chancellor Usman Danfodio University Secretary and Chief External Examiner. Of course, Professor Ikone is also here, Vice Chancellor Abuja State University, and of course Ike Onyechere, the founding chairman, Exam Ethics Marshals International. But let me go to Professor Ikone, who happens to be an external examiner. Professor Oloyede has, of course, explained, several aspects of this conversation with respect to UTME for this year, and we want to share your own experience. We can start from registration process, and of course, the results being delayed, and reasons, adduced by Professor Oloyede for not releasing them yet.
Thank you. Generally in a competition, people would want to have undue advantage over others, not just in examination, in sports, in football, in various human endeavors. But what is more important is the monitoring agency. What are the checks and balances you put in place to checkmate these expectations? So at this time, JAMB has come very much alive. It's not that the cheating has been small at this time. It's been there over the years. Like I said, if the monitoring agency is committed to its work and said, no, we have to checkmate this, then you have various aspects of varieties of cheating being exposed, starting from the registration. What you said about registration is, remember that registration has a timeline. It's not what you do in 1 day or 2 days. In most cases, JAMB has had cause to extend the registration time, and they cannot continue extending time because you have a period you have to take the examination, release the result, and conduct the admission processes. So it's not unusual that you may have some hiccups in some registration centers, and there are many registration centers scattered all over the nation. So if in one place you have problem, you are free to go to some other place. So I don't think anybody can use that as a reason why it's not able to register. But again, based on the varieties of the cheating we are having, multiple registration and all that, people are devising many reasons why they cannot register, because they want to do various aspects of registration that are not in line with the simple registration of one candidate registering in one center. And because of that, they come up with so many complaints that they are not able to register. If you monitor closely, such people are not doing simple registration of one candidate. They are trying to do multiple registration. They are trying to do using various biometric devices to beat the registration. That may be their complaint. Now, specifically to the examination days, you have several days for examination. I want to commend the agents, the JAM. The monitoring is very strict now. It's not left in the hands of the proctors or people at the center. Like he said, footages of CCTV. When you try to cover up in centers, they are monitoring, and it reveals. And that's how they're able to blame even some officers who collude with the candidates. Now, specifically, you have different people involved in the examination. The chief external examiner, you have the proctors, you have the youth corpers, you have the civil defense providing security, you have the technical officers in case there is any technical issue. And all these people are involved in one center. And the process is such that you don't enter the examination hall until you pass the biometric this year. Last year, like he explained, you can say, okay, let's give you a waiver. When you enter the examination hall, proctors will be monitoring. Supervisors will be monitoring in the exam hall. There are cases where people may beat the security you enter. But along the line, they have the photo card. They'll be looking at the photo card and looking at the face of the person who is sitting for the examination. That's how you can catch impersonation. We have, in Abuja State, we caught a lot of impersonators. One, from the photo card, you see the person who is writing the examination. It's not the same passport that is on the photo card. Somehow, he's been able to beat the security and entered. And again, like he said, where people cause pandemonium in a center, so that people can run around, somebody else can enter. And somebody can say, I am pressed by nature, I want to go and ease myself. You allow the person to go and ease. He has arranged with somebody. As he's coming back, it's not the person who went to ease himself. Another person who has eased himself naturally now comes in and sits on his seat, because the seats are numbered. Your registration number is there in your seat. Somebody else is now sitting on your seat. So if the people who are supervising are not smart enough to detect that the person who left that seat is no more the person there, you will have a case of a successful impersonation. They come in different varieties, because there are people who have taken this exam practice as a profession. They study the system.
The mercenaries.
Yeah, they study the system. For example, we caught somebody who's a mercenary. He didn't know the candidate he was coming to sit exam for. A medical center had paid the person, go to give him the registration data. Go and sit for the exam. He doesn't know the person is impersonating for. So there are many people who are involved in this thing. There are people who have taken it as their profession. That's what they live on. So they keep improving on their. And they study the system, they find a way of trying to beat the system.
On their mischief. Professor Ikone, let's pause you in the meantime and bring in your professor colleague, Abdullahi Zuru, who is Vice Chancellor of Usman Danfodio University in Sokoto, and is also JAM's Chief External Examiner for the state. Professor Zuru, tell us, what is the role of a JAM Chief External Examiner in the first instance. And for the purposes of the 2019 UTME, what did you observe in your jurisdiction?
Good morning, fellow Nigerians, and I will say Ramadan Kareem for the Muslim Ummah. My experience is for the 2019. Let me start with the first question, which is my role as the
Chief
External Examiner. He has started giving the explanation, but I will just go a little bit in detail. As the Chief External Examiner, my first major responsibility is that I appoint all the proctors, those who are the invigilators in the various centers. And I do that without anybody's. It's entirely my own responsibility, and I have to take responsibility for their actions. That free hand has been given to us. Now that means when I do that, I have to go around to ensure that the invigilation is done properly. And I'm also, as the Chief Examiner, also overseeing all the centers. So not only the invigilators, but the supervisors, because they will have a supervisor in the center. There will be a technical officer in each center, and then the biometric team. The civil defense, as he has said, there's a monitoring group. As a chief examiner, I also assess what is happening in the center. If they need to call in security comes in, I have to be the person to call in security in case of chaos or any other issue. So essentially, as a chief examiner, I oversee the whole process. And if there are any challenges on ground, those challenges will be immediately communicated to me. I will liaise with headquarters, and decision could be taken immediately. For example, there are times we have some challenges in terms of the generator has gone off because of heat, the inverters are not functioning properly, or sometimes deliberate interference with the process. And you may find that continuing with the examination becomes a problem. Then now I have to communicate with the Abuja center to tell them, look, this is the situation we have in this center, and this is what I think we should do. We have moved some students to another center just to complete the examination. So there are a lot of responsibilities attached to that. My experience with the 2019 examination is better told in comparison with the 2018 examination. In 2018, I was very vociferous in arguing that they should allow those who have biometric challenges to go ahead with the examination, and then let us see what can be done. This is because as a person, I also have had a lot of challenges with my fingerprint. In fact, when I was to do my BVM in my bank, I spent about 3 hours. Twice I've gone to the immigration there in Sokoto to get my passport renewed, challenges with my fingerprints. So I knew that there are real challenges on this. But you see, there are ways, I will say, God does his things. So last year, he agreed with the proposal and allow those who had these challenges to go on and do the examination. So in one of the centers, the center in my own university, what happened was that a candidate somehow found a way to get into the examination hall without even doing the biometric. He got into the examination hall. We found out after, with the connivance of some of the staff of the center, who are our own staff. But then the system is robust. Not only they have a server that is showing who is writing in the examination, but the attendance inside is being taken. So we then realized, I mean, the vigilators and technical team realized that the number of people writing the examination in the hall are more than the ones that have been verified. So they started checking, going around to check and try to establish. And what did they find? In one of the cases, they found, looking at the screen, one of the candidates is a male writing the examination, but the picture of this thing was that of a lady. The name was that of a lady, basically. So we called out to find out, we called him out to find out what was happening. We interrogated him. He turns out to be a 400 level microbiology student from our own university. But his entrance was facilitated by some of the center staff into the hall. And another staff linked him up with the lady he's writing. Of course, we handed him over to the police. Then the other issue with the biometric that were allowed to go in. Then we had a situation that those who were allowed to go in to write the examination that had challenges with biometric, we said that when they finish, they should fill a form, and then we call a photographer. We realized that there would be a problem if you are only using this in a new photograph. So I ordered that they bring a photographer to take the pictures of those who are having that problem. Then something interesting happened. When they were doing that, somebody who wrote exam for someone left and then sent the person that he wrote exam for to come in. How they did this exchange was funny, because what happened, they created some chaos around that process of this thing, and then somehow they changed. So, but luckily for us, that person, because he has not gone through the processes, was confused. He didn't know what to do. So he became a suspect. We started asking him questions. Did you write examination? Then he said, no, I can't remember this. The biometric man said he couldn't remember. Then we then asked him. Luckily, in the center, there are two centers. So we asked him, in which of this hall did you write the examination? He couldn't explain. He took us upstairs where no exam was written. So we then called the civil defense, and then he was interrogated. And then what it turned out to be, he said somebody wrote the exam for him. Where is that person? He's out there sitting on his own motorcycle, so that when they finish, they will go. So we quietly used the civil defense to go and bring that person in. So when he was brought in, he was arguing, no, he has never met that person. He was doing all the argument. We said, oh, please, calm down. So I directed that they should go, they should go and check the CCTV footage. And when they checked the CCTV footage, they confirmed he was the one that started the examination that very day. I think one just wants this in that is quite interesting. When we asked that person to put his fingers on the biometric machine, each finger he put, a different picture will come with a different person. If he puts this, a different picture will come, a different person. Put this, different finger, all the fingers, different persons.
That still speaks to identity management.
So
these are some of the challenges you have.
From all indications, you know, these are antics, you know, to beat, you know, the simple technology being applied by JAM to conduct the examination. All right, let's turn to Ike Onyechere. Reminiscing about the initial explanation by Professor Oloyede that has now been amplified, you know, by Professor Ikone and of course Professor Abdullahi Zuru, and you are of exam ethics. Please juxtapose this, you know, with what exam ethics is really all about.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I will start by thanking and commending Professor Oloyede. I think Nigerians should pray for him for God's protection, because he has said everything, And as you know, I've been on this program severally over the years. And almost some of the things he has said are things we have, in exam ethics, highlighted. But he has now emphasized it. He has now given teeth to it. And I feel a little bit sad, because it is unfortunate that what we have been saying for almost 23 years, we have been vindicated about what is happening now. But I want us to go beyond that when we talk about what we have been doing. You see, one of the problems is that at every exam cycle, like this is JAM now, when these things come out, we all assemble, every person is talking about JAM. The next 2 or 3 months, it will be WAEC. We move to WAEC and so on and so forth. You know, some people are surprised with what he's saying, because here is a courageous man. So these things have been happening. There have been exam boards before, there have been registrars before, you know, all these exams here as well. But why he's just talking about it as if it is new? So anyway, what we have been saying is that there is a total meltdown, moral meltdown of the foundation and the moral infrastructure, moral foundation and infrastructure for education. The whole process of our educational system, from admissions, we are just talking about admission system. What about the teaching? What about the teaching and learning process? What about the assessment, other assessments, like project writing, project management? What about certification? What percentage of our lecturers, of our teachers, of our students and so on are carrying authentic certificates? What about registration process, like we are talking about? And then what about regulation process? What are the regulatory agencies and so on? So there is a total meltdown of the process across the board. And we cannot just, you see, Professor is just one man. JAMB is one agency. This thing is beyond one agency or one man, because what we are talking about now confirms also what we are saying. Exam malpractice is no longer about indiscretion of students or people. It's organized crime, pure and simple. And unless you take out the system, you challenge the system, you challenge the organizers, take out their nucleus, or take them out as a system, we are not going anywhere. It has gone beyond the system of catching 1 or 2 or 3 people and putting them there. Now, as we are talking about, they are going back to the drawing board for next year's JAM. Do you understand?
Yeah, well, Mr. Onyechere, thank you very much. I mean, we've had you here on Good Morning Nigeria, as you said. You know, if you have organized crime, just as you have tried to, just as you have labeled exam malpractices with regard to UTME, what do we know about this organized crime? How do they operate? We've talked already about registration manipulation, identity theft or identity mismanagement. What else do we know about them? Because unless you know a lot more about them, there's no way you can defeat them. Or you Professor
know a lot about them when we are saying it. First of all, most of the institutions we call schools are frauds of the organized crime. You start from there. If you want to do a good job, and like he has identified, some of these CBT centers, including some of them in universities, are frauds for these organized criminals. And they have described it. They have impersonators. They have this. It is including in his agency. I have been reading what he has been doing, including in JAM, because what he's doing now is focusing on the external. He has also identified that there are embedded people. So these are members. They are syndicates. You understand? And for example, these exam centers and so on, or even these schools, because I call them schools of corruption, are they not licensed and registered by our ministries of education? Every year, does a WAEC, for example, not like last year they did a good job, but they didn't have the courage of JAM to move further. They identified all the cash and carry exam administrators, supervisors, administrators, but what they did, they sent the names back to the ministries. They sweep it under the carpet, and these are members of the organized crime. It's a network, because, like he said everything. How can, if it's not organized crime, can one person bring 1.6 million naira and give somebody? they collect it and they share the money. Even in schools, when they do some of these centers, every person has a percentage he takes from what they collect from students, because people pay this money.
Have the security agencies been engaged in this, whether EFCC, ICPC, DSS?
Yes, I must say that this time around, we must thank the heads of the police. I met with the IG. When I saw the enormity of the problem, I had to find my way to the IG, the Comptroller General of the Civil Defense, and they have been very, very fantastic. The number of arrests that we had, because 2-3 years ago, when you ask what are we doing about this syndicate, I spent almost 6 weeks out of Abuja. When I discovered that anybody arrested in Plateau, in Bauchi, in Enugu, they have a link to a place called Igara.
That's right.
In Edo State. I met the director of SSS in Edo. I went there. I said, look, they arrested this man. We have the recording of our interview with them. They confessed, particularly when we told them, tell us how you get this thing. There is a place in Igara town which is the headquarters of this Yahoo thing about examination. And the candidate told us who the guys were and so on. They gave us. We went to Lagos in Ibafo. It's an industry. You have a 3-man, the 3 men who are in charge. They were arrested by Lagos State Command. We were in Panti. CID, myself and the management, we went there to interview them, because we know that we have no control over prosecution, but we wanted to extract information from them. We were allowed, and we interviewed them. They gave undertaking that they will close the thing. You see, the investment that they have in Ibafo is more than 3 billion naira. The investment, I mean physical investment, infrastructure that they have. We were able to track even those who were making. They have a lot of equipment that they were breaking into so many things. Even recently, when we got to know that they were making an attempt to break, substitute our SIM, and that's very dangerous, particularly to the banking industry. We had to call CBN, call NCC, call EFCC, and we set up a joint committee. Like he said, it's not about JAMB. They have not been able to do much damage to. They can't penetrate our system. I can assure you, all this issue of question, they can't get our question, and that's why they became frustrated. That you saw what happened in Anthony this year, that they started taking snapshots of the screen, and they will now go and compile the thing as question, thinking that our question that we use today we are going to use tomorrow. Once we use one question, we will not go back to it until 5 years.
Kyrian, I'm just wondering, Professor Loyede, the whole idea of introducing the computer-based test was to first deal with the increased number of candidates, but also, to beat the fraudsters. Why are we still having these challenges?
The fraudsters are reduced by CBT. Paper and pencil is worse. You must have read what happened in the United States of America last month. You saw what happened about examination malpractice. I'm inspired with what America did, because they did not hide it under the table. Many people have been convicted. And one of my American friends sent to me when they started, say, if it's in your country, they might take 10 years to be convicted. I believe what he said, but I thank God. And yesterday I sent back to him, mocking him. In Nigeria, those who have arrested, about 121 across the country. We know them, many, but we didn't want to concentrate our energy on all. We just picked 2, 2, 3, 3 from each of the states to have national spread. So look, what I'm trying to say is that my friend in America was mocking me, but I'm very proud as a Nigerian that now 5 of them within the last 2 weeks have been convicted. Sokoto, Kebbi are sentenced 1 to 2 years in imprisonment. Samfara, 3 months imprisonment for about 4 of them. We are so happy that I could go back to my colleague and say, you said Nigeria will take years.
Yeah.
So we believe that we are appealing to the agencies concerned. And I must thank the police. I must thank the civil defense, because particularly the IG and the deputy IG SIB, they have been very wonderful. When we were in Sokoto with you, sir, they were going up with me, and it was easy to pick them up. And the only problem I have with them is that they say the law says they cannot parade these people. Until they are something. People are committing crime. We know them, we know their names. Why can't you show their face on the screen so that people will learn that? Shame them. Why the prosecution? They say no.
All right, Professor. Well, gentlemen, you know, we want to take a short break now. When we come back, we'll try and run the program off, and then we'll return to you for further comments. Right. So this is Good Morning Nigeria, and we thank you for staying with us up to this moment. We already have some messages via tweets, which we're going to read out to you in the course of the program. For now, let's take a short break. When we come back, the program will continue.
Chief. Good morning, sir. You are here already?
No, now my spirit day, my body day for house. What kind of question is that? Were you not the one that fixed this meeting for 8 a.m.? You are now coming by 10 a.m. and start asking me job questions.
Not bad, Chief, now. I'm sorry. Don't you also go late for meetings sometimes? You know now, African time.
No more African time. And no more pancaking of face during office hours. At the end of the day, we will lose valuable time. We will not make progress. If we want to move this nation forward, we must treat business as business and respect time. Change begins with me.
Thank you, sir. I'm sorry. Can we go for the meeting now, Chief?
Later.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
All right, welcome back here. It's still Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. As my colleague Kieran indicated, we have a number of tweets that have come in. Kieran, let's go to this tweet. Again, I would like to advise our contributors by way of tweets. A tweet is supposed to be a short message. You know, 2 brief sentences, that should do. So this one is coming from Amok Bolahon. And the tweet is from midsection. The widespread malpractices that characterize 2019 UTME are a pointer to the fact that students are a step ahead of JAMB in the areas of shortchanging the system. It's akin to politicians who are always ahead of INEC to subvert the system once something is introduced to make it better.
All right, Law Alpha says this. JAMB has been rejuvenated only to the extent of making huge returns to the federal government, while so many students have been frustrated, no thanks to unfavorable introductions in the modus operandi. Well, it's unfortunate that so many students are not yet computer compliant or literate, yet they have to face the hurdles of computer-based examinations in order to gain admission. JAMB should critically examine their flaws and alleviate students' frustrations.
Oh man, Carlo twist. Now the cost effectiveness and efficiency in running JAMB is encouraging, but that should also reflect on the expenses by candidates, as the UTME is becoming too expensive.
Now I advise JAMB, that's from Husseini Baba Mai. He said, I advise JAMB to probe all unclear segments and sanction those airing centers for them to further have a malpractice-free exercise. And I must not forget to commend the organization, especially the JAMB boss, for the extraordinary job these 3 years.
Now this is coming from Okegwale Kingsley. Please, when will the results be released?
Sani Michael or Makochi. Yeah, it is really a setback that after institutionalizing high level of technology to curb malpractice, JAMB still reports high level of malpractice in this year's exam. Notwithstanding, the idea of giving a collective punishment is unacceptable. Culprits alone should be identified and punished.
Now, this is coming from Dele Jack Solomon. It says, to ameliorate the sufferings of students, the Ministry of Education should enforce computer literacy in schools and ensure the availability of the computers and use. Also, students can go a step further by going to business centers or get help in tutorial centers.
All right, Chris Simeon says that the malpractice we have in JAMB every year is as a result of poor funding by government to educational sector. Government is not giving priority attention to education in Nigeria. That is why we are producing half-baked graduates from universities every year.
Festus Akimboyewa, it's no longer news that JAMB is in the eye of the storm again. The blacklisting of CBTs and prosecution of those involved in malpractices is the way to go to restore the integrity of the UTME and bring sanity into the university admission system.
Shoaibu Akali, all the obstacles faced by JAMB is lack of facilities. Let's prepare before starting a policy. The standard of e-exam that we are doing is not up to until we update the policy. If not, problems will continue.
Now, Dino Abiodun tweets, what Professor Loyede said is true, but I think it's better for the Ministry of Education to step up action against exam malpractices from the secondary school days.
Now, Fonahami Idris says JAMB should be commended for trying to sanitize the system. UTME results should be published on their website.
Now, Akeju Olagbaju tweets, computerized test is a lazy approach to conduct examination. I was at the University of Ghana and witnessed a concessional exam with candidate answer sheets that are well tagged for future references. No wonder we're having more of Yahoo guys in institutions of higher learning.
Now, nearly JAMB gave admission at school, and JAMB gave admission and school gave admission to those that got admitted through school. We have to do regularization, but the state coordinator in Taraba State is always harsh, and they don't tolerate that. Please, what do we do?
Cecilia Okoroma, now we always make a mountain out of a molehill. We all have bank accounts. BVN can assist in eliminating the cheating in UTME process.
Well, from Ayoya, this is Matthew. Actually, he says JAMB is trying, but what is the work of invigilators in situations like this? Thanks, Professor Loyede. It's very sad that what our nation has become. These so-called elite schools should be singled out and properly monitored during exams. It's a shame to parents who are helping their children to cheat.
And this is coming from Akeju Alagbaju again. It says, now we know the reason and why JAMB has been able to generate so much money through the multiple registration. So in a way, the justification that we have over 2 million candidates scrambling for admission is not real. And this is a very significant point.
Exactly,
because all these bogus figures of
and
1.8, the figure is false. That's why it's bogus. 1.8 million, we probably do not have up to that number who are scrambling for admission spaces.
Moses Ahiwe says JAMB management should have put in place these security monitoring checks before the exams to eliminate all these challenges. I
just want to return to the two vice chancellors, Professor Ikone of Abia University and Professor Zuru of Usman Danfodio University. When you hear stories like this, particularly for this year, we are almost back again to the question of post-UTME. Is there a justification now for bringing back, the university admission process that will re-examine the candidates even after some of them may have been assisted by mercenaries to scale the UTME organized by JAMB?
Well, the reasons given for the post-UTME in the past had been the lack of confidence schools had on JAMB. And I remember 2 years ago, the incumbent JAMB registrar did address heads of institution and said, okay, you want post-UTME, but you get involved in monitoring our examination. A time will come when you say for yourself that we now have confidence in JAMB examination, and there will be no need for the post-UTME if that is the only reason for conducting it. And that is where heads of institutions have become chief external examinations. Protors are recruited from tertiary institutions. So we are part of the examination, and we are seeing the monitoring that is going on. And even at this year that some of the tweets are saying that the 2019 you have more malpractices. It's not true. The point is that this monitoring is becoming more effective, dictating the things they are doing, and they are being exposed. That means that JAMB is succeeding in installing credibility in their examinations. And if society supports, like this, we need to support the head of JAMB at this time. The more successes he makes, and at the time there will be no need for the post-UTME, because credibility would have been fully restored on any result released by JAMB.
Professor Zuru.
What he has said, I share that view. In fact, for the last 3 years, we have not conducted the post-UTME. We rely on the JAMB results. We are now doing a study of the period we were doing the continuous, the post-UTME and this particular period. Of course, indications are coming to show that sometimes when you have the period you are doing post-UTME, students are getting through more, but the sample we are using is not enough, because it's just medicine. You have to look at this globally in the whole system before you can make decisions. But the most important thing is actually the tertiary institutions themselves that are monitoring the whole process, the vigilators and all these things. So in terms of confidence in the examination, and this idea that 2019 there are more problems, 18,785 wrote the examination in Sokoto State. 94.6% were verified. So the issue of the biometrics from these facts are exaggerated. And only 5 candidates were actually caught in the examination malpractice. And that also took the use of the central server, because there they have this information. So if not for the central server, that means is that there wouldn't have been anybody caught. So I think this, from the 3 years I've been the chief examiner, progressively we have had improvement on the system. So for example, this year, we never had all the examinations were conducted in the same system to completion. So last year, a lot we have to relocate. So there's improvement as we're going, yes.
As time goes on, we will not be looking at post-UTME again, with what you're saying. With the credibility being restored gradually, will there be a time when we will now say...
I will hope we get there.
Okay. We're running out of time, really, let's get back to Ike Onyeche. You had wanted to talk on one particular issue before we went to break.
Yes, because I like to focus on the global implication of all this. First of all, I want to say that we have to take these issues that have been x-rayed here, not just for JAMB but all other exams, as a matter of national emergency. Exam malpractice is a matter of serious national emergency. And I take the view that unless this battle of exam malpractice is fought and won, the war against corruption cannot be won. I want to give you an example. Just what happened in one of the centers during the Unity School exams and so on. Parents in one center, which we monitored, virtually were protesting to be allowed to write, to help their people. Some of them to even to go and write the parents.
Why don't those parents
exactly. Of course, the things were that. Because I said, so when they called me, when my people called me, I say, what reason did they go? They say, why should we be the ones left out? This is what is happening in all the centers. You want us to be disadvantaged, and so on. And of course, the matter was taken up. But the issue is not, like I said, there is a network. People People organized that, people orchestrated that, you know, the syndicates, the people involved. So I want to say, and this is a question where all stakeholders have to be involved. Professor Loyede and JAMB have said the example. I plead with all the other stakeholders to come up with the courage. For example, this issue of name and shame. The exam bodies are covered under the Exam Malpractice Act of 1999. Section 16 specifically says that they can blacklist, they can publish their names. It was done in 1990 when we did a tax team on this with the Federal Ministry of Education. I mean 2008, 2009. The exam bodies came together, brought the list of all these people, and it was published in the papers, and it brought a little bit of sanity. So it is not just a matter of whether the police want to line them up with this, but the exam bodies, like JAMB has also done, because they have published some list of some of these centers, some names of some of these people, but they should go further and spend a little bit of, I understand the issue of resources, because they can't use all their resources fighting exam malpractice, but they should do more about naming and shaming, especially even including the people within these examination boards who are aiding these people outside.
All right, thank you very much. Professor Loyede, last word from you, and very briefly.
Thank you. Let
me ask my question. When are the results likely to be released?
Yes.
And it's necessarily the case now from what we are hearing that, fine, it is the efficiency in the system that is actually throwing up these instances of the malpractices and the shenanigans by the mercenaries.
Yes, thank you very much. The exam results will be out very soon, because as at now, the fingerprinting, we have 5 states to go. As at 12 midnight today, we have about 5 states, and one of the states is Lagos, very large. So we want to complete that before we do. But let me also say that some of the comments that people talk as if they are not in Nigeria. Somebody says JAMB is becoming, UTME is becoming more expensive. It's not true. The federal government of Nigeria announced and reduced the price from 5,000 to 3,500. We had never increased the charges by 1 kobo. And federal government in its own, last year we returned about 7 billion naira to the federal government. This year we have returned about 3 billion. But we can explain that you are the one who reduced the cost. Government had reduced the cost, even with the 2 billion that we are asked to keep for our own development. We have only 5 billion, not 7 billion, because government is transferring the money. If for somebody to now write to a network and say the cost is getting, tell me anybody who pays more, because it's not happening. And I must also tell you, I'm not a tutorial class. And people are saying tutorial class. The tutorial classes are largely the centers of corruption. The so-called tutorial classes.
Let me just get something there. You see, I don't think Prof is making more money than other registrars. Yeah. Just that he is honest enough to declare the money. Yeah. I'm sure that if you do a trend analysis, these monies have been made in the past. Yeah, that it was not.
Yeah, some of the monies got swallowed up by snakes now. You know.
Thank you very much.
Let me give you just 2 examples. Somebody talked about Taraba. I was pushed to almost remove my coordinator in Taraba before I realized that the woman was just very honest woman. I've forgotten the name now. The lady was accused of all sorts of things, and I invited the lady to Abuja. When she brought the record, these are people who never attended any school. They now wanted to continue what they have been doing under regularization, where they will pay 5,000 to JAMB, and JAMB will not do anything other than giving them registration. But we have put something in place now that if you claim you had OND or NCE and you got it illegally because you didn't go through JAMB, if you went through JAMB at that time, you will give us your registration number and it will go. But now we insist you must go and take indemnity form from the institution where you graduated, where the vice chancellor will sign that I claim, I affirm that this person graduated from my institution, and in case it's found to be faulty, hold me responsible. They don't want to do that. When they go back to the institution, the vice chancellor will just collect the form and throw it away, and they can't come back to us, because what we want to do is to, because they are using us as stepping stone to commit further examination.
Right.
And for now, we have those who have been arrested. They are being prosecuted, and we can assure the Nigerian nation that as soon, very, very soon, we are going to release the result. And when we release this, the result, it will be clear. We are cancelling over 100 CBT centers at this morning, and they keep on increasing. Well, if I go back there now, I will find out that many other, because we are previewing everything that are done.
If you can see the more about
I just want
next year, no, we are also devising a means for next year, because it's not compulsory that we should hold our examination in one 1 week. We can have 2 diets, like people. Somebody spoke about Ghana. You see, people who have little knowledge, they want to direct those who have knowledge. Ghana was here last year, was with us at our policy meeting. Ghana is going our own way because their number is getting large now. And when you use paper and pencil, the accuracy is not there. And of course, how will you expect somebody to mark large number? They don't know where the whole world is going towards the CBT, and they are combating the examination.
Professor Lloyd, Kieran and the other guests, Jump is making a lot of money and surplus, and therefore returning some to the government coffers. Just a piece of advice in terms of identity management and computer systems. Kieran, you remember on this program we have had guests whenever we are discussing identity management and so on and so forth. And then internet integrity or cyberspace integrity. Switzerland some months ago invited hackers with promises of payment if they could hack into a system that they were developing, so as to further strengthen it on the basis of what the hackers are doing. So maybe this could be an idea for JAM to pursue. Get around, recruit hackers, recruit consultants. Recruit them, so as to further fortify
the system. It's about being smart.
Yes.
So the Nigerians are also using the same system to fight the system.
That's right. So you get that. It's on that note, Kieran, we should appreciate all our 4 guests who've been with us on the program this morning. For those who wrote the exams and their parents and their guardians, the JAMB registrar says that the results will be out soon. They're still verifying, and they have only 5 states left. Professor Ishaq Oloyede, registrar, joint admissions.